On Saturday, June 28, 1958, a historic meeting of the representatives and owners of small industries in Ghana gave birth to the Association of Ghana Industries. Two major decisions were taken at the meeting. One, set up a committee to work on a memorandum on decisions reached and present recommendations to the government committee looking into difficulties of Ghanaian industries. And two, form a body of industrialists known as the Federation of Ghana Industries. Federation of Ghana Industries was established and ran from the offices of Nkulenu Industries Limited. Mr. Stephen Oklu became first honorary secretary of the Federation.
In order to have the results of the committee put on paper, they appealed for volunteers, to help them. After about 10 minutes, when nobody was volunteering, I decided to offer my services to them.
A 6-day exhibition dubbed Made in Ghana Exhibition was held in the third year of the Federation's formation in collaboration with the Ghana Industrial Development Corporation at the Baden-Powell Memorial Hall in Accra from 5th to 11th June 1961. As a result of this exhibition, a special fund was set up at the Bank of Ghana to help Ghanaian industrialists to import raw materials to feed their factories. In this same year, 1961, the Federation changed its name to Ghana Manufacturers Association.
The founders included Mrs. or Dr. Esther Oklu, Mr. Alfred Gezi, Reverend T.A. Ajete, Mr. Agbamiase, who used to be in Kumasi, he was a furniture manufacturer, Mr. Kupchandani, who is managing director then of Gramo, and they were in industry also. Then there was also Mr. Brinya, who was also a member. So during that time, in 1961, there was an European association and there was a Ghanaian Indigenous Association.
As the first of its kind in newly independent Ghana, Osajifo Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, who was so pleased with the success of the exhibition, promised and built the Ghana International Trade Fair Center at La in Accra. Because Dr. Nkrumah needed the backing of the indigenous Ghanaian entrepreneurs to ensure the success of his industrialization program, he encouraged Ghanaians to invest in the manufacturing sector. The 1960s saw several industries made up of small, medium, and large-scale manufacturing and service industries in agro-processing, agribusiness, pharmaceuticals, electronics and electricals, telecommunications, utilities, service industries, transport, construction, textiles, garment and leather, and banking. The 1970s, another era of coups impacted negatively on business in Ghana. The National Redemption Council's Yin-Chia policy set the government on a collision course with the rest of the world. This period was the most difficult time for businesses. Ghana suffered cutting aid and economic sanctions. In the garden city of Kumasi, businesses were in similar distress like others throughout Ghana.
During the 1970s, when the import license regime was instituted, naturally it had a negative effect on most manufacturing industries in the country.
Import licenses were hard, but one significant thing which happened, I was then not president. Mr. Roxon, late Roxon, was the president.
I, for instance, was serving on the Import License Advisory Committee, and I was representing the AGI.
The licenses for that year was very badly distributed. Colonel Mina was then the commissioner. And then Mr. Kojo Debra, who was for a long time in Foreign Affairs, was the cabinet secretary. So he called Debra and arranged a meeting with the AGI leadership
Mrs. Okru, Mr. Gezi, Mr. Donald Creeley of Ghana Aluminium Brothers, who was then Vice President, and I believe Mr. Ane of Anitex, and then Mr. Akwa Harrison and little old me as the Secretary of the delegation. We went to see the President.
And we were able to get more licenses after that meeting.
The National Redemption Council has vowed that within the constraints posed by the world economy, it will ensure that essential goods are available on the market. The sugar, the cement, the matches, the spraying machine, petrol, the milk, the soap.
It was during that time that the Bank of Ghana was asked to try and order certain goods, certain manufacturers, raw material from certain manufacturers. And then when it comes, it is put in a bonded warehouse, whereby as and when you get money, it is released to you, you manufacture, and then you go and pay, and then you keep on releasing. When you run out of the product, then you go back again, and then bank. Meanwhile, the funding or the financing initially is paid by Bank of Ghana. It made it easier for some manufacturers, but that doesn't mean that it took away the difficulties most of the manufacturing companies were going through.
AGI was, active enough to let the government know that we should be helped, because by helping indigenous industries to grow, you are helping employment, you are saving foreign exchange for other purposes, and in fact, you are trying to raise the standard of living by providing them cheap but durable accommodation.
The association moved a step further in response to promote industrial and technological advancement of the country.
As a president of the association, I had to maneuver first to change the name, to make it Association of Ghana Industries, to be all-embracing. Formerly, it was only manufacturing sector, which were allowed as members. But once I changed it to become Association of Ghana Industries, then farmers, tourist organizations, bankers, even lawyers became members.
In June 1999, AGI and Confederation of Danish Industries entered into a 3-year technical cooperation agreement to enhance performance and bring to bear international best practices in the running of the association.
Realizing that there was a need to restructure the association and make it more responsive to the growing challenges in policy advocacy. These discussions were initiated in order to get support from the Confederation of Danish Industry to restructure and reposition AGI to be able to meet these emerging challenges.
Tropical Cables and Conductors Limited is a shining example of the Ghanaian industry's turning point.
We have grown AGI to the stage where it is not just about Ghanaians who are into manufacturing or providing services to manufacturers. It is also now more about every locally registered company which is in manufacturing.
The need to encourage and support the up-and-coming industries will be the way forward for growth of the industry.
Until we grow local industries into heights like the big giants, Nestle, Unilever, PZ, and others, there's no future for the AGI. We can't. Because industry, right, the thriving word there is competition.
Processed Foods and Spices Limited is a prompter for government support to the agro-processing industry as a matter of necessity to curtail post-harvest losses.
Something should be done to the whole value chain of agro-processing. And on the top of it all is the kind of policy that we have in place the agricultural vis-a-vis the industrial policy that is in place. In the absence of these, all what we'll be doing will come to naught.
That is why we think it is important that all governments should look at the role of manufacturing and how to enhance manufacturing.
The name of the game is efficiency. And if you are small, it's very difficult to be efficient. The local market is too small. No industry, no Ghanaian manufacturing firm can make it with local sales. You can't.
Government resources are limited, and very often the investment which should go into manufacturing has not come.
The trade and commerce and services are doing very well to the detriment of manufacturing.
Because there are banks, there are insurance companies, there are venture capital companies, it is possible for the individual manufacturing sometimes to look elsewhere for finances.
In November 2003, the association moved into its own premises, named Addison House, in recognition of the enormous contribution of Dr. Addison.
During my tenure, I felt that AGI should have an office of its own. And I tried how to build it.
As a country on the path of growth, the health of the people is very important. The pharmaceutical industries have changed their production processes and paid increasing attention to packaging of their products for local and foreign markets. Ernest Chemist Limited, Kina Pharma Limited, and Kama Industries Limited are clear examples of that technological advancement.
We think that the Ghanaian public should really accept made in Ghana products because, one, we are professionals, pharmacists. Number two, we have the know-how by way of the formulations. We have the inspectors from Food and Drugs Board making sure that the standards are good, and we have the machinery.
The government itself is the largest buyer in an economy like ours, and if government has it as firm policy to buy from locally manufactured goods and services, you will find out that that in itself alone will enhance manufacturing.
Pharmaceutical Manufacturers Association of Ghana, to which I'm the president, believe that right now we can go into the West African market. The market is there. That is the West African sub-region market. And they love our products. When we go for exhibitions in the neighboring countries, almost everybody wants to buy made in Ghana pharmaceuticals.
Ghanaian printers have played a very useful role in ensuring the quality of products from our factories are well packaged to meet international standards. Though the textile industry is experiencing turbulent times, few have weathered the storm to sustain the industry. Good old GTP, ATL, and a determined Ghanaian businesswoman whose zeal is paying off, Winglow Clothes and Textiles.
Out of Agua sprang up the garment village, the PSI program that also benefited a lot of companies and also encouraged the growth of large garment producing companies in Ghana. I'll say that it also encouraged growth in the textile manufacturing, among the textile manufacturing companies, because they also would supply the raw material for the sewing of the whatever.
Areas like medicine and law have become the preferred choices of many of our young people. Now ICT is coming in. But I would encourage young people coming in to start looking at engineering as a career choice. I think that it is one of the areas where we need enhanced abilities in this country if we are to do well.
With technological advancement, a lot more can be achieved. 50 years of Association of Ghana Industries is golden, yet timely for stock-taking and appraisal of performance by Ghanaian industrialists and the way forward.
AGI has become a very credible partner to government and its agencies in the formulation and implementation of policies.
And I also feel that it is time that we set up periodic meetings between the AGI and the government.
Let us prove to government that we can come together share ideas, share education, and even share capital.
We are not the only people on the West Coast or on the ECOWAS sub-region. Nigeria has done it. And there has been talk of passing the domestic content bill.
We have to develop a system where the Ghana industries and the Ghana academia, the universities, will work hand in hand.
It is important that you develop your people such that the technical training, especially the polytechnics, the technical universities, the ICT facilities which are available, is such that our people can get the skills which will support a manufacturing environment.
To quote the current president, the association is deepening relations among its members, resulting in the institutional synergies between large and small-scale companies for a more dynamic and productive national industrial sector.